Hello, everyone, and we got to talk about 5 things that might threaten this Bitcoin bull run. We're all excited about the bull run. Don't get me wrong, I'm excited too, but there are things that could derail it. So let's start with number 1, the dollar index, or DXY. As you can see, we're at a yearly high of about 109, 110, 109.25 to be exact. And the only time that DXY has actually been higher is actually during COVID, or the 2019 COVID crisis. And that's because as we were recovering, the United States was doing way better than other countries. But guess what? The US is still doing way better than all those other countries. So they don't trust their own currency, and everyone trusts the US dollar. So despite of all the BRICS stuff and all the propaganda of like, hey, the US is about to fall, it's not. We're still number 1. So I guess the rest of you that are hoping the US dollar will fall can go suck it. But we actually do need the US dollar to actually come down, because that would be best for crypto. Now, this doesn't really make sense because crypto shouldn't really care about how strong the US dollar is against other currencies, because crypto is just a hedge for inflation. But psychologically, it does matter because crypto is more or less a commodity, and commodities do generally pretty bad when the US dollar is strong. The second thing that could hurt us is inflation, and of course, the prospect of recession. And those two a lot of times pull in different ways. If you have a recession, you generally deal with deflation rather than inflation because people don't have money, so they're actually not buying things. Right now, we don't have a deflationary problem. We might have an inflationary problem. Although inflation has come massively down from its height in 2022 and 2023, it still hasn't come down as much as the Fed wants it to come down. And because it hasn't actually come down nearly as much as the Fed wants it to come down, Jerome Powell refused to cut interest rates that could actually slow growth. Now, it's not at like 5 or 6%. It's projected to be at 2.9% on the CPI tomorrow. And that is fairly low, but it was 2.7%. So it's going up a little bit, but still under 3%. So Jerome Powell should not be too terrified at this. But he is kind of like slowing interest rate cuts, and that is bothering the market. Now, he better not slow it too much and cause a recession, because that would be just as bad. In a recession, people truly don't have as much money. And because of that, they're not investing in things like crypto because they're, buying stuff like food, and they're sweating over like food prices to feed themselves. And obviously, necessities come before investments. So that's the big risk. We don't really want something like stagflation, where in the 1970s, 80s, where the economy is just stagnant and food prices keep going up. That would be really bad, and that could actually make crypto stall for a long time. But they're kind of afraid of slow growth or inflation resurfacing, especially a lot of companies have mentioned the possible addition of tariffs, which would actually hurt both sides, especially in the business and investing market, because that will actually make all prices generally go up because both sides will tariff each other, and certain countries have competitive advantages making certain things. And with that competitive advantage goes away, everything becomes more expensive. So policy people are kind of afraid of, and they're afraid of both recession and rising prices. So that's a big problem that we have to keep our eye on. The third possible thing that could trigger a recession is a black swan event. Remember this guy? Yeah, I think you remember that guy. I think we all remember that guy. Yes, Sam Bankman-Fried. He's in jail now, where he should stay for the next 2 decades or more. But, however, there are a lot of other players like him. Maybe not quite as big, but who knows? One of those big players might spring up in the next couple of years. And of course, there's always things like Tether that always have the chance of spontaneously combusting, but most likely won't, because I do believe Tether is fully backed by cash or cash-like reserves. But if one of those things does happen, it could stall the bull run or completely tank it down, and we could say goodbye to the massive amounts of profits that we want. The fourth thing that could stall the bull run or just take out crypto entirely is AI and quantum computing. Now, I still think we're like 10 years away from this. And even the researchers say we're like a decade away from this because we only have like 100 something qubits, and it would actually take about 10 million or 100 million qubits to solve Bitcoin, which would actually crash all of crypto if you can just completely crack the code. But that is something we have to look into, and sooner or later, we got to think about quantum resistance because we don't want rise of the machines and we don't want robots to basically take over all our crypto and give it to the hands of a couple wealthy elites that control these robots. The fifth thing is regulations. Now, this might sound weird because we have the Trump administration, and the Trump administration is supposed to be very, very pro-crypto, but things can actually change, especially if the poll numbers start changing, and you still have warriors like Elizabeth Warren that are constantly fighting against crypto with all their strength, albeit in a pretty futile struggle. But America is not the only market. We have markets like Europe with MiCA, which is making it harder for some cryptos to actually operate in their jurisdiction. And of course, other jurisdictions that are not the United States have money as well. So other places around the globe can actually get regulations that could hamper crypto. Remember when China banned Bitcoin mining back in 2019? There was a major dump at that point. So that is the fifth thing that could possibly hamper crypto. Obviously, there's the odd swan thing, or we'll call it the sixth thing, like World War III. But if that happens, we're all dead anyway, so crypto is the least of our worries. So those are the 5 or 6 things that could possibly destroy the Bitcoin bull run. Like and subscribe, hit that bell notifications button, leave a comment, and I will see you guys later.